The refugee crisis has become a global issue. Exactly how many refugees are there in the world? The number of global refugees increases by 34,000 every day. The growing number of refugees has reached 65 million. One after another, the Arab Spring, the Syrian Civil War, and the African Civil War of 2011 continued to fuel the fire.
All over the world, countries, communities are encouraged to welcome, to support, and to provide assistance to those who are fleeing, who want to save their life, who want to save the life of their children and family.
The growing refugee crisis is not something we can avoid and turn away from. What can we do to resolve the refugee crisis as it becomes a greater global issue? Lotte Hotel venue.
그럼 지금부터 미래 세대를 위한 제2회 선악평화상 시상식을 여러분의 큰 박수로 시작하겠습니다. 한학자 총재님과 홍일식 위원장님께서 입장을 하고 계십니다. 한학자 총재께서는 오늘 제2회를 맞이하는 선악평화상의 설립자로 두 분이신 고 문선명 총재와 함께 세계를 무대로 평화와 참사랑의 이상을 이루기 위해
The co-laureates of the second Sunup Peace Prize were Italian surgeon and the Schweitzer of refugees, Dr. Gino Strada, and Afghanistan's mother of education, Dr. Sakina Yakubi. The establishment of the Sunup Peace Prize was proposed by Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon, wife of the late Reverend Sun Myung-moon, in order to pay tribute to Reverend Moon's ideology and achievements and honor his wishes.
Broken lives of all of them urges us to reflect, ask us to take action to get out of the spiral of war and violence.
The people who have hate, they are really destroying other nations. And the only way that we can demolish that hate and that prejudice is through education.
And I believe that this should encourage other people to do positive, forward-looking work for the cause of humanity.
It's not an easy work. It requires a lot of spirit of solidarity and dedication and love, especially. A lot of love for people.
Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, where the White Nile and Blue Nile rivers meet. Sudan has endured the pain and suffering of ceaseless war and heavy gunfire caused by religious and racial conflicts. A cloud of dust is raised as we depart Khartoum and drive to our destination, the Salam Center for Cardiac Surgery. The surgery begins from early in the morning. The operating room is busy with preparations. Among these staff members is Dr. Gino Strada.
Put the patients a little bit better.
Today's surgery will be performed by Italian cardiac surgeon Dr. Gino Strada, who is also the head of the Salam Center. Dr. Gino Strada specializes in heart transplants and has been performing cardiac surgeries in many different locations for 20 years. He lives in the operating room. As with any type of surgery, Cardiac surgery requires extreme concentration, and the tension can be seen in the eyes of everyone in the room. Throughout the procedure, the surgeon must dismiss all other thoughts until the moment when the very last surgical instrument is set down. Dr. Gino Strada successfully completes the operation. He cannot take his eyes off the monitor displaying the patient's current condition. Dr. Strada watches his assistant complete the operation, his eyes full of nothing but concern for the patient.
Well, it was okay. Unfortunately, the valve was very damaged, so we could not try to repair it. But for the rest, I don't think she will have any problem.
Are you tired now? Are you tired?
No. No, we are used to this kind of operation, so this took longer than usual because the girl was small and the heart was small, so it takes a bit more time. No problems.
He finishes speaking and enters the operation room again.
Okay. I go and drink a coffee.
He then leaves to get a cup of coffee to help him relax a bit. He finishes the morning operation and leaves the hospital. Another person follows him out the door to discuss matters related to the hospital. They walk as they talk, and the conversation is time-efficient and productive. Following the morning operation, a meeting about the hospital, as well as another operation, 24 hours at the hospital flies by.
Ciao. See you later.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
He sleeps here inside the hospital. This is his home. He is now alone. His body is heavy and exhausted like cotton soaked in water.
I heard you don't eat lunch so much, man.
No.
It's okay?
No, because if you have lunch, then you are sleepy in the afternoon and more difficult to work.
Really?
At least for me.
The meeting continues even in his home with not even a moment of rest. There is only work, work, and more work. Dr. Gino Strada, who turned 70 this year, gave up his peaceful life in an affluent Italian suburb and chose to live a difficult and uncomfortable life in the severely destitute continent of Africa. The meeting continues on his way back to the hospital. As a doctor, he must operate when there is a patient in need of surgery. He believes that a true doctor keeps the patient safe and never stops thinking as a doctor. The staff gather prior to the operation. He has performed countless operations over the past 40 years and continues to perform 2 or 3 surgeries every day. But he focuses on each operation as if it were his first time, repairing and resuscitating a heart to make it beat again allows him to feel alive and feel the beating of his own heart.
2.8, 2.9 yesterday morning.
Technique, experience, knowledge, and teamwork are all necessary to treat patients successfully. But what Dr. Strada considers the most important is passion for the work and dedication to the patients.
If you remove the organ valve before, then
Day after day, his schedule is the same. Exactly how does he have the strength to continue without getting worn out?
Is the video okay?
Yeah.
He's a really good man and a good doctor. Also, I feel surprised to see a man like Gino Strada working 3 operations per day.
Then when I met him at first time, it was in Christmas Day last time, and then he was really nice, and you know, is a charismatic person. And I think he inspires a lot to people to do the same thing in this world.
Anesthetist Gina Portela is a colleague of Dr. Strada, who has worked together with him since the founding of the Salam Center. This is what she shared about Dr. Gino Strada.
Let's build cardiac surgery in Africa. I didn't thought it was a good idea, or you know, I was not convinced 100%. Let's say it was more like, you know, usually this guy is proposing ideas that they work a lot and they are a big need. And then I find out this was true one more time.
Just like Gina, who understood and supported Dr. Strada's vision, medical workers and staff have come to the Salam Center from all over the world, including young adults from Sudan.
So the first reason was to demonstrate that it was possible to build a center where one of the most difficult surgical disciplines is regularly performed. If you consider the right to health care as a basic human right that belongs to every human being, so why not in Africa?
The Salam Center, which was established in 2007, is the first hospital in Africa to provide world-class cardiac treatment at no cost. The Salam Center has performed 6,500 surgeries and conducted 56,000 cardiac examinations in 27 African countries, making it comparable to the global standard. Emergency is an international emergency medical group that was founded in 1994 with the mission to provide free medical treatment for victims of war and landmines. To this day, Emergency has established and continues to manage over 60 hospitals, medical centers, rehabilitation centers, pediatric centers, emergency centers, and health centers, maternity centers, cardiac surgery centers, and more in the 17 most dangerous countries in the world, with limited access to medical treatment, thereby saving more than 8 million lives.
Well, the motivation was very simple. The fact that I had the possibility and the chance to work for different years in many conflicts, so I could see with my eyes the big number of wounded people or suffering people, and the small number of aid available. So the idea to establish an organization dedicated to perform war surgery was very simple. I mean, there is a need, we can do something, let's do it.
Dr. Strada offered his medical services to children who lost their legs in a mine explosion, women with shrapnel in their bodies, and even enemy soldiers who were bleeding from battle.
A patient is a patient, and looking after a patient has nothing to do with the patient's political opinion or affiliation or military conduct and so on. A patient is a patient, as simple as that.
After spending 30 years on the front line, Dr. Strada turned 70. The scars on his face caused by war appear like bandages, and his hair remains silver gray. But he will watch over the battlefield as the head doctor of emergency. Open Heart is a documentary created about Dr. Gino Strada and emergency. The film was nominated for the 2013 85th Academy Awards for Best Documentary on a Short Subject. Emergency's current project is to construct 10 centers in Africa that will specialize in various professional treatments, from pediatrics and surgery to maternity care. The second medical center that will specialize in pediatrics is currently being constructed in Uganda and is scheduled to open in 2018. The morning begins with the bustling of the footsteps of patients arriving at the hospital. Just like every other day, the Salam Center opens today and provides equal treatment for all of its patients. Dr. Gino Strada works every day without fail.
Yeah, I'm going to see the patient. I've operated a couple of days ago, and she has been discharged from ICU, so we'll have a look in now.
How is it? How is her condition now?
We'll see.
From early in the morning, he works diligently to check on the condition of the patient that he has operated on. Contrary to his fatigued appearance, his delicate demeanor becomes apparent as he cares for his patients and colleagues. The hospital room of Omnia, the child that he operated on earlier.
Can you ask her how she's
He checks on the child's condition with the help of the nurse's translation.
Is she breathing well?
He playfully touches her cheek, as if to say he is proud of her for enduring such a difficult procedure. Dr. Strada continues to carefully check the patient's condition. He then looks at the patient and holds her gaze, like a grandfather looking at his young granddaughter.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice to see the patient going back to... And it's nicer to see them because before they were sick, and now they're not sick anymore. 2 weeks after operation, you see them running in the corridor. So.
The confirmation of a successful operation comforts his heart.
أطلع من المستشفى أدرس إن شاء الله أبقى دكتور. I go to Uganda to school and study about medicine.
Regardless of where he is in the hospital, Dr. Gino Strada can always be seen conversing with the people around him. Dr. Gino Strada's expression brightens as he sees the children sitting in the hospital garden.
Where are you from? Uganda. And what's your name? And how many years? How old are you? 10 years.
In the operating room, he is a surgeon armed with his level-headedness. But his eyes are warm as he brings himself to the children's eye level and talks to them.
From Burundi.
He gently touches the child and asks how he is feeling, reassuring him not to worry.
Needs some operation.
Dr. Strada always emphasizes that he is nothing more and nothing less than a doctor treating his patients. However, he is an incredible doctor and an incredible human being.
I would love to be completely useless. It will mean that there is no more need. That is a dream. So I think that for the time being, everybody has to do whatever is possible to do because the patients cannot wait.
Located in the middle of Central Asia, Afghanistan is known as the crossroads between Eastern and Western civilization. Afghanistan was a peaceful nation that lived harmoniously with others. However, peace and security no longer exist. Devastated from decades of war, Afghanistan became the poorest country in the world. These children learn to read and write, and they love learning. The illiteracy rate in Afghanistan is 90%. If you can't read, then your understanding is limited. It is possible to live without being literate, but that alone is not enough. When people receive an education and engage in critical thinking, the history of their country becomes more rich and vibrant. Dr. Sakina Yaqubi arrives at one of the private schools that she founded in Kabul. Dr. Yaqubi makes eye contact with the children as she talks to them, giving kisses to the students that memorize the Arabic alphabet.
My name is Zalij. My name is Atiye. My name is Sada. My name is Mina.
You know, sometimes I tease people in US. I said, I will bring my kids and you bring your kids and I will make them in competition. See who will be the winner. I have so much confidence on them.
The children play instruments as they sing and dance to traditional songs. Dr. Yaqubi also begins to clap along as she happily watches the children, these beautiful, lovely children. Her to-do list consists of numerous items, and there is often no time for her to rest in between constant business calls.
And one more call.
She spends only the morning at her office desk and then moves on from endless phone calls.
Okay. پیاله خلاص بالا پوش خورم بگیر آخرش.
Dr. Sakina Yaqubi was born in Afghanistan and was once herself a refugee. In 1992, Dr. Yaqubi had been studying abroad in the US when she decided to leave behind her stable life and enter a refugee camp in Pakistan. She believed that education was a human right and that education was the only thing that could change the future lives of refugees. This belief lies in her conviction that education is the sole path to developing the strength to live as a human being. There are children everywhere she goes.
Yes, you know English, right?
Dr. Sakina Yaqubi established the Afghan Institute of Learning in 1995 to provide systematic education for refugees. Starting with a mere $20,000, the Afghan Institute of Learning has grown in scale to $15 million. The Afghan Institute of Learning provides education and medical services to 350,000 women and children each year, reaching a total of 13 million refugees to date.
Moment of joyness when I go to the classroom. Always. I take a special joy when I go to the classroom with the kids, because I'm a teacher and I become a teacher right away, and I play with them, I ask questions, and like today we didn't do that much, but every time that I spend time with them, I make them laugh, I make them joke, you know. It's joyful.
Dr. Yacobi returned to her homeland of Afghanistan. She does not live for herself, but has become the mother of education for Afghan refugees.
Well, I could see that thousands and thousands of men, young men and young women, they got education. Otherwise, they will never be able to go to school. Never will be able to read and write. And also, doing that, they are changing the country. They are transforming people's mind. They are young people. So I am very happy and joyful because I was able to do that for the people of Afghanistan.
It was Dr. Yacobi's unique idea to combat illiteracy by using cell phones to educate students on the widespread use of written language.
First we thought it will not work because Afghanistan didn't have that much phone service, did not have the technology, so it was hard. But we got the fund, we bought the small phone, not a smartphone, but a small little phone, simple phone. And so then we designed a curriculum that in that curriculum we had questions, like about 100 questions we designed, that this question the students will answer. They start following. They keep asking from the neighbor, what are you doing today? What are you cooking? What's going on? So they start asking questions through the mobile phone. So their reading went faster. They improve faster. And instead of learning in 2 years, they learn in 1 year or 6 months. They learn how to read and write. So it was very, very successful. And now everybody wants to use the phone. Yeah. And so I feel technology is very useful tool for really advancing the society. I really strongly believe, yes.
Establishing schools isn't the only thing she has done. She also provides educational content to people living in remote areas through a radio broadcasting station. Computers and other tools that help increase the quality of life are also being incorporated into the program. The door to education has been thrown wide open for Afghan women. These women who have learned to read and write are now learning techniques such as sewing skills to help them earn money. They have gained hope that they will be able to escape the violence and abuse that they had regarded as part of their miserable fate. If women change, then families change. If families change, then societies change, and then nations change. Through these Afghan women, Dr. Sakina Yacobi is bringing that transformation to reality.
Once they get empowered financially and they get education, and once they get education, they will be able to do bigger and better things. You know, education transforms people, and when they get transformation through education, they are empowered and they get to do many, many things.
Through education, Dr. Yacobi is leading a revolution of local communities.
دلیلی که ما این سمینارها رو دایم می‌کنیم، این ورکشاپ‌ها رو دایم می‌کنیم که کسایی مثل شما، چون همونطور که گفتیم که شما رهبرای آینده هستید.
اما فردوس برینه برای شما تقاضا داریم از خدا.
These Afghan women who have endured tremendous pain and suffering are now moving forward in their lives.
She has no way out of it until she doesn't stand on her own feet. The only solution for this is to she stand on her feet. To she be safe, that's the only thing. You cannot save her, I cannot save her in a different way. She has to save herself, and that's the reason I give her a skill, I give her training, I give her education, I give her love and courage. invaded by Russian, my mind was always into Afghanistan because I had sisters and brothers that they are in Afghanistan. I felt it that at the time that why I have all this privilege, I have good life and those people are suffering. So always I wanted to go back to Afghanistan and to help my country. Yes, I had a good job, I had good money, I had good life, but that wasn't enough for me. My heart was in my country. I love my country, I love my people, I wanted to be with them. So that's the reason, that was my motive. I went to the refugee camp. I faced a lot of challenges because people did not want to educate women.
I went to the mullah's house and I said, can I teach you to be a teacher? And he looked at me and he said, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? I'm not a teacher. I said, please give me a chance. Then he agreed with me. I trained him as a teacher and he became a teacher. I put a tent inside this compound. So because he was a mullah, because people were trusting him, so everybody sent their daughter in there, in his compound.
Even under the Taliban regime, Dr. Yaqubi did not give up on educating women.
We had underground school. It means that we had the school which was secret. Nobody knew about it.
The school teacher and I secretly gave books to people. We hid the extra books in the storage and kitchen. If the Taliban had found a teacher, they would have brutally assaulted her. They would have sent her to prison and executed her. Under the Taliban regime, women couldn't walk by themselves on the street, let alone receive an education. Despite the possibility of losing her life at the hands of the Taliban, if it were revealed that women were receiving an education, Dr. Sakina Yaqubi continued to manage 80 underground schools, teaching a total of 3,000 women. Not even the undisputed power of the Taliban's ban of the education of women, nor the dangers of the Taliban's surveillance could diminish their passion for learning. The Afghan Institute of Learning, founded by Dr. Sakina Yaqubi, offers personalized educational courses based on the circumstances of each region. The Afghan Institute of Learning holds meetings with regional leaders and implements projects to transform refugees into positive leaders who will revolutionize their local communities. One thing that refugees need just as much as education is medical service. Refugees are barely surviving in the midst of poverty and disease.
When I come here, sometimes I go with pills.
The Afghan Institute of Learning opened a medical clinic for refugees that provides basic medical information and treatment.
See, inside this is all kinds of legume, with vegetable, and a very cheap. So that's like providing meat, and they don't know how to do that. So she's doing that, and she gave it to them, and she showed them how to do it. And once they saw, they will do it again to themselves.
It is most important for mothers and their babies to eat proper meals. One side of the clinic distributes nutritious meals to mothers and children. Dr. Yaqubi takes care of the children's meals like a grandmother looking after her own grandchildren. Dr. Yaqubi is proud of the education that has helped refugees become teachers. Because now, they will become future leaders who will be able to stand on their own feet and save themselves. I was in despair. And Dr. Yacobi saved me. I am teaching children as I train to become a school teacher. Because of Dr. Yacobi, I now have my own home and I live happily with my family. I would still be struggling if it wasn't for Dr. Yacobi's help. I thank her so much and am so proud of her.
She is my boss, but I believe him more than my boss. I believe him as a big mother in Afghanistan.
Dr. Yacobi is very lovely and very tough. Sometimes very lovely and friendly for the program and also sometimes very serious about the working, very tough about the working. Dr. Yacobi is my role model.
And I think Ms. Yacobi has rightly focused on helping. And Afghanistan is one country which has seen the worst of refugee crisis in their lifetime. So it is very necessary to focus on and to organize women who are educated, can run the schools in the refugee camps.
Educated children and women will become the leaders of Afghanistan. This is Dr. Yacobi's wish.
This is my Rumi book, and always I read this. But I want to read you in one few sentences. زان که عشق مردگان پاینده نیست، زان که مرده سوی ما آینده نیست. عشق زنده در روان و در بسر، هر دمی باشد ز غنچه تازه تر. عشق آن زنده گزینی گویاست که از شراب جان فزایت ساقی است. عشق آن بگزین که جمله انبیا یافتند از عشق او هرگار و گیا. تو مگو ما را بدان شهوار نیست، با کریمان کارها دشوار نیست.
We are now in an age of one global family, where the world is living as one. But if our global neighbors are suffering as refugees, how can we say that we are a global community with a shared purpose and destiny? The Sunup Peace Prize Foundation was established in order to create one human family and a peaceful world. This idea came from the late Reverend Sun Myung-moon's movement, which is inter-race, inter-religion, and international ideology. The recipients of this year's Sunup Peace Prize, Dr. Gino Strada and Dr. Sakina Yacobi, are two righteous people who have pioneered a path to solutions to the global refugee crisis with incredible courage and dedication. The world must now transcend cultural and racial barriers and open the door of hope to refugees with the warm embrace of a global family.